What's good, everyone? Aggie Coach here. All right, guys, welcome to another video. This video is going to be working in tandem with the FAT8 rule system videos. So if you guys recall, if you haven't seen the videos, go to the FAT8 YouTube channel and go to the playlist, and there you will find how to play the FAT8 football there. So the FAT8 rule standard, you can find it there with how to actually play FAT8 football. It works in tandem with the NCAA rule system. The rules were developed based off of the NCAA rule system. So everything that you need to find on how to play FAT8 football is there. That is not what we're going to be talking about in these next two videos, right? This video is a specialist video. It's a specialized video. In this case, this particular video is going to be entitled FAT8 Solitaire Rule System. Now, the FAT8 Solitaire Rule System is a specialized rule system for solitaire play only. So I'm going to go ahead and put this disclaimer out there right now, guys. This probably is not going to interest you if you're interested in tournaments or you're just interested in a rule system just playing, right? If you're interested in solitaire in particular, that is playing over the course of a very long season. Over the course of a season, over the course of multiple seasons, right? These rules are for you. So if you have a solitaire league and you're interested in some really unique rules for your solitaire league to help bring your solitaire league alive, make it really interesting, a lot of fun, really challenging for you because it's just you and your son, or it's just you by yourself and you're playing solitaire, you're really going to enjoy this. I'm going to try not to make it too complicated. I'm going to break this into a few pieces. Now, this is found in the back of the FAT8 rule book, and it is optional, right? This is not mandatory. You don't need this to play FAT8 football. It is optional. So let's go ahead and get down into it. There's a bunch of things that we got to cover for FAT8 solitaire game system. First, we need to talk about player morale. This is individual player morale. Then we need to talk about coach leadership. We need to talk about team morale, okay, and how these things work. And then lastly, the last video will cover home field advantage, the home field advantage rules. That's a completely separate rule system, so I'm going to do that separate because home field advantage is going to affect every single game that you play, right? But player morale right now is the most important thing to grasp. These 22 players on the field that you see right here, each of them have an individual morale value, right? So before I get into anything else, we're going to talk about individual player morale because you got to wrap your head around that first before we start getting into rules with the coaches and athletic trainers and all that kind of stuff. So basically, the first thing that you need to do before doing anything else is you need to make your depth chart, right? You need to make your depth chart, and on your depth chart, what you want to do is you want to have your player numbers and name. You want to have the position, the weight of the players, right? And then their individual morale. In this case, every player's individual morale is 6, right? So for your leadership column, your morale column, you just put the number 6 all the way down. Now, defensive coordinators, head coaches, offensive coordinators, and athletic trainers, okay? Your head coach, his morale is 9. Always starting at 9, okay? Offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator is 8. Athletic trainer is 8, okay? And the overall team morale value is also 8. That's what you need to remember. That's it for that part. That's piece of cake. That's it for that part. Now, how does it work? So, game number 1, the Navy Midshipmen and the Ohio State Buckeyes are playing. The ball has been kicked off. It was kicked out the back of the end zone. It's first down and 10 for the Buckeyes. The ball is spotted at the 20-yard line, and Ryan Taylor is under center getting ready to take the snap. Okay. All 22 players on the field have a morale value of 6. It works like this. You roll 2 dice. If the number is equal to that morale value, if the number is equal to 6 or below 6, the morale test is passed. If the number is above 6, so if you roll 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the morale check is failed. Okay, that is how you take a leadership test for coaches and a morale test for individual players. Now, why do you need morale? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Anytime players on your team, anytime players on the defensive team, on the away team, or the home team makes 2 infractions, 2 mistakes in the game. For example, let's pick on somebody. Let's say Clements here, cornerback, was cited for pass interference early in the game. That's 1. And then, say a series later, he gets burned deep for a touchdown. That's 2. Now he has to take a morale check. 6 or less. He fails. That's a 9. Guess what? Now there is a chart for him. Anytime a player fails a morale check, the very first time, they are benched for a series. Across the board, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's benched for a series. So now he comes out the game. He goes over to see the coach. He stays on the sideline. Okay? This is why you have to have that depth chart. So now his backup has to come in the game. So now his backup comes in the game. And so the backup will play for a series. Now you as the head coach, if that backup is not doing well, you always have the option at the end of that series. You have the option of taking him out the game and putting your boy back in the game. However, and this is all in the rule book, I'm just running it down for you guys. So, as a general rule, I'm gonna say this one more time. As a general rule, this is how individual morale works for everybody. So it's not confusing. If a player makes 2 infractions of any kind or 2 mistakes, for example, the running back here, he gets the ball, he fumbles the ball. That's 1, right? Next time, running back gets the ball, running back gets tackled for a loss of 10, right? That's 2. Okay? Now, that running back has to take a morale check. Okay? Same thing. He takes a morale check. He fails. Right? What happens? For 1 series, he comes out, backup comes in. That's it. It's that simple. Easy. He come out, backup comes in. This forces you to play your depth chart. You see what I mean? It forces you to play through your depth chart. So you're not just playing the same players over and over and over again. It forces you to go through your depth chart. So now you got players in the game. If you hadn't been coaching those players, you're going to run into some problems. Now, that is how morale checks work across the board. It's that simple. 2 mistakes, right? And that is it. Okay, let's look at the quarterback. Quarterback throws an interception. That's 1, right? Quarterback fumbles the ball. That's 2. Quarterback takes a leadership check. Uh-oh. He doesn't care. So this quarterback is so confident in himself. He's like, whatever, I got this. When this happens and he passes leadership check, he just keeps playing. He's unaffected by what's happening to him. He's not rattled. He doesn't care. He's a veteran guy. He's like, you know what? I don't even care. I got this. I can do this. Let's go. Let's play. So when that happens, you have this kind of thing where you have a veteran quarterback. This shows this quarterback is, he's a veteran quarterback. He doesn't really care what's going on. He's just ready to play. He's unmoved by the mistake. So when they pass a morale test like this, they just keep playing. Now imagine how it would be if your quarterback has to sit out for a series, and your backup quarterback comes in the game and he just can't get anything right. It just makes the team tank quick. So this is the kind of thing. So the reason that these kinds of things are put in play is because when you're playing solitaire, especially playing solitaire, sometimes you can tend to like favor one team over the other. This keeps that balance. It stops you from being able to give more value to one team than the other. So you have to really stay in the middle and really kind of remove yourself, right, and let the players play. So sometimes your star guy has to come out in the game and there's nothing that you can do about it. So that is player morale. That is that simple. That is it. This is everything from penalties. One of the offensive linemen get a holding penalty. That's one. Next time, he missed a key block. Defensive lineman gets in the backfield, sacks the quarterback. Same thing. That lineman has to take a morale check now. If that lineman fails, he comes out the game for a series. Next guy comes in, and that's it. That is it, guys. Is that simple. Now, there are some things in the FAT8 rule system. There are some things in the solitaire rule system. There are some things that can make something like this simple turn into a headache. For example, in the rule book, there's a list of the kinds of infractions that players can commit that can make things really bad. So like for example here in the rule system here, this tells you how many infractions a player can do before they have to roll, right? And what the action is, right? So everything that I just told you is right here, with the exception of personal fouls, right? Personal foul. If you do immediately, as soon as a player get a personal foul, something like pass interference or something like that, then if it's a pass interference or we even have rules for face masks, which I'll get into later. I'm not going to get into that now because it's going to take too much time. So this is the general rule here for morale checks. So the first failed morale check by student athlete, he's benched for a season. The second failed morale check. Now, this is where things get interesting. So let's go back to the same guy that we were picking on. So let's say Clements, he failed his morale check. His backup came in. Backup didn't do too well. So you made a decision, you know what, I'm going to put him back. Right? So you made a decision, we're going to put Clements back in the game. Now, he's already failed one morale check in the game. So now that means that he's made 2 mistakes. So the next time he takes the morale check will be after he makes 2 more mistakes. So let's say he gets burned twice in the game. He gets beat deep twice in the game and gives up 2 touchdowns. Now he's got to take another morale check. On the second morale check that he has to take, there is an extreme cases chart. Now he is running the risk of losing his starting position. Okay? So on a second failed morale check, let's see what happens. So we have this chart right here. Okay? So you have the coach reaction and you have the result. So now we roll on the chart. So let's say he failed, and you only need 1 die for this. So he failed his second morale check in the game. Right? So now we're going to roll. And we get a 6. So what did we get? So we found our 6. Here's what happened. The coach loses 3 leadership points. We'll talk about that later. And keeps the player in the game. But look at what could have happened. He could have been benched for 2 series. He could have been benched for a quarter. If you roll a 1, 2, or 3, he could be benched for 2 quarters, benched for the game. If I had rolled a 1, loses starting position. Coach slams down his headset, right? So if that was not a 6, if that had been a 1 instead of a 6, this player is no longer the starter. So at the beginning of the next game, his backup now has the starting position. So he doesn't start anymore. How can he get his starting position back? That has to happen to one of the other guys in the secondary in order for him to get his starting position back. So that is it. That's how morale works. So in a nutshell, every player on the team has a morale value of 6. Right? They have a morale value of 6. You roll the dice. Right? If that player makes 2 mistakes, gets burnt twice, gets run over, doesn't make the tackle, and then gets burnt, or or the running back fumbles the ball, or gets tackled for a sack, or the quarterback throws 2 interceptions, or the offensive linemen are holding, any of those kinds of things, any personal foul, penalties, anything like that. If it happens twice, the player that it happens to twice, that player takes a morale check. If that player fails the morale check, he gets benched for a season. That's off the top. He gets benched for a series. Benched for a series off the top. Now, when that player gets back in the game, if that player makes 2 more mistakes, gets burned twice, or, misses an open field tackle, say the running back hits the gap, right? Breaks it into the open, and he just completely overruns the play. He over pursues, missed the tackle, right? That's 1, right? So then if you come back in the next series and he gets burned, now he's taking his 2nd morale check. It is immediate roll on the extreme cases table when that happens. That's when things get fun, because that player could lose his starting position or lose the ability to even play in the next game. So, morale. That's how the morale system works. I'm at 16 minutes. So I'm going to stop here because the next video looks like I'm going to have to do 3 videos. The next video, we're going to talk about coach leadership. And then the very last video, we're going to talk about home field advantage. One last thing I want to mention before I let you guys go, and that is penalties. Penalties also play a role in morale, in player morale. For this video, I just wanted to talk about individual player morale. But what you will see in the rule book, if you're playing in the FAT8 Solitaire rule system, what you'll see in the rule book for the penalties, you will see that it tells you the number of penalties. So like, for example, illegal procedure or offsides. It's a 5-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage, 2 infractions, right? So you can see it tells you here, same thing for holding, 2 infractions. If it is unsportsmanlike conduct for the offense, offensive pass interference, for example, an immediate roll, an immediate morale check, right? If that player failed, that player is benched for a full series. Same thing for face mask, okay? Clipping, illegal blocking, chop blocking, that kind of 1 infraction for that. And for illegal touching, 1 infraction for that. And how illegal touching works, just like in real football, is all broken down. All the details are broken down. I'm not going to really get into penalties. That's for another video. We'll talk about penalties, how penalties occur. And we don't do rolls for penalties. We don't flip dice. We don't roll dice or flip coins or anything like that. Penalties actually play out. You can physically see the penalties happening. That's a whole nother video that we're going to get into. I'm going to stop here because I'm already at 19 minutes. So this video here, FAT8 Solitaire game system here, we're talking about individual player morale. Every individual player on the team, on every team, has a morale value of 6. It's very simple. They make 2 mistakes, they take a morale check. If they fail the morale check, equal to or under 6 is a pass, above 6 is a fail. If they fail the morale check, they sit out for a series. It's that simple. Now, when that player comes back in the game, if he makes 2 more mistakes and he fails his next morale check, then he's rolling on the extreme cases table. That is when the coach, either the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or head coach, that's when they pissed. That's when you see them players coming over to the sideline and the coach throws down his handset and he starts fussing out the players. That's when that player runs the chance of losing their starting position. So this right here, this kind of rule helps to make your solitaire season really interesting, where you have these kinds of things happening to your players, and it's out of your control. It's completely out of your control. So you can't show any favoritism to one team or the other, because it is 100% out of your control. Nothing you can do about it. So that makes it really, really interesting. So this is one of the rules that I have put in place for my Solitaire League, is the concept of player morale. And this really just kind of shows player intelligence. So I'm gonna stop it here. I'm at 20 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the next video. In the next video, we're gonna be talking about coaches, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, head coaches. Oh, before I go, real quick, I might as well go ahead and throw captains in here. So on the depth chart, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in. On the depth chart right here, where I have these stars, those are the designated captains. Now, the only thing is, captains have a higher leadership value than everybody else, all of the other players on the team. So the captain's leadership value is 7. Everybody else is 6. The advantage in that is that if you have a captain in the game, so let's say this middle linebacker here, Johnson, let's say he's the defensive captain, and this player failed his morale check. The captain can give this guy a pep talk before the coach intervenes, right? This happened to me in football before. When I was playing at A&T, this happened to me. I let a guy get behind me, and he made a big play. The safety made the tackle, but he made a big play. And at that time, our linebacker was the captain for our defense. And he came over to me and he grabbed me by my face mask. And he's like, yo, get your head in the game. What's going on with you? Come on, don't let that happen. Let's go. He started getting on me. And that made me dig in and start playing better. So when that happens, the captain can take the leadership check for this guy. So instead of him taking it on a 6, he'll take it on a 7. That's for having the captain being nearby, to kind of slap him on the wrist and say, look, man, get it together. We got to get this right. And if he passes, then, it's all good. If he still fails, then, nothing changes. Then you follow the normal procedure. It just gives them, having the captain on the field gives them a better opportunity to not have poor morale during the game. All right, so I'm going to stop it here. So that is how the captains, and you have both of your captain on your offense and your defense. That's how that works. That is player morale, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget, comment, like, and subscribe, and we're going to get into the next video. Peace.